This is CBC Vancouver News.
It happened so quick and people had so little time to respond.
A wildfire in Hawaii has killed half a dozen people and destroyed scores of properties. We hear from an Abbotsford man who's lost a house on Maui. Plus,
Zach lived his life for this calling. That is where he wanted to be. He was doing what he loved.
saying goodbye to one of their own. A memorial service in Penticton draws crowds of mourners honoring a fallen firefighter. And
I can't eat, I can't sleep. I start shaking when I see packages at my door.
dozens of Amazon deliveries she doesn't even want. What's behind the mix-up and what she's doing to stop the onslaught of packages. Good evening, I'm Tanya Fletcher, and we begin with developing news in Surrey, where crews are battling a major fire that's ripped through multiple houses. Nearly 24 people are out of their homes tonight. First responders were called to this scene in the Clayton Heights neighborhood around 6:30 this evening. The flames engulfed at least 4 homes and garages. This is around 73rd Avenue and 192nd Street. BC Emergency Health Services says thankfully there were no injuries, but more than 30 firefighters and 10 trucks responded. It's not yet clear what caused this fire. And turning now to devastation in Hawaii. A fast-moving wildfire has torn through parts of Maui. At least 6 people have died and many more are injured. The flames centered around a popular vacation hotspot for British Columbians. Mira Baines has the very latest.
Paradise on fire as flames fueled by winds from Hurricane Dora ripped through West Maui. The historic town of Lahaina, built in the 1800s, devastated as flames engulfed its popular front street.
Everyone I know in Lahaina, their homes have been burned down.
People jumped into the ocean to get away and had to be rescued by the Coast Guard on Tuesday night.
And I just ran out to the beach and I ran south and I just helped everybody I could along the way.
At least 6 people are confirmed dead, 2,000 people in shelters. Local hospitals overwhelmed, with some burn patients being flown to Honolulu.
We never anticipated in this state that a hurricane, which did not make impact on our islands, will cause this type of wildfires.
Communication has been a big problem. Cell phone towers and landlines are down, halting 911 services. U.S. President Joe Biden is pledging federal help, including Black Hawk helicopters and Navy fleets. Some Canadian tourists rushed to the airport to leave the island, only to be stuck there due to flight cancellations.
We figured it would be a good idea to get to the airport early. The drive normally takes 45 minutes, took us over 3 hours.
Air Canada had to cancel flights from Maui to Vancouver because fires blocked access to the airport. It says we are evaluating other options, including opportunity to operate an evening flight with a larger aircraft to accommodate all affected passengers. WestJet has also canceled flights and is rescheduling passengers. Hundreds of thousands of Canadians visit Hawaii each year. But for now, Maui's message for tourists is to stay away as the state deals with devastation. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, the fires there are also devastating for an Abbotsford resident who has now lost his vacation home on Maui.
It happened so quick and people had so little time to respond. It started off as a brush fire and they actually thought they had it under control, and then bingo, the wind came up to the way it did, and it just became impossible for them to control.
Aldo Veneer has been going to Hawaii since the 70s with friends and family. He was there last in June and says the fires are unthinkable. Veneer hopes rebuilding can begin soon. Well, to the Okanagan now, where fire crews joined to say a solemn goodbye to one of their own. Loved ones and colleagues gathered in Penticton today to remember a young man who died fighting our province's historic wildfires. Zach Muse, a 25-year-old from Ontario, was killed late last month in northern BC. And for more on today's memorial, we are joined by Liam Britton, who was following the service. So, Liam, how is Zach remembered today?
Well, those who knew Zach Muse talked about his kindness, dedication, and of course, sacrifice. They spoke about his passion for firefighting and making a difference. A relative read a letter from Muse's father. He spoke about his immense sadness, but also how happy he was knowing that his son realized his lifelong dream. Muse's boss was one of the dozens of firefighters present. He spoke of the young man's leadership and passion.
Zach lived his life for this calling. As I spoke with his dad, Tim, yesterday, he told me about his many conversations with Zach. He spoke of how he was proud to be working on the Donnie Creek fire, of the relationships and the bond that he was building with his fellow firefighters, and that is where he wanted to be. He was doing what he loved.
And beyond the work, Smesman also talked about Muse's big smile, his love of golf and the outdoors. Muse leaves behind his parents and 5 siblings. One sister said they are devastated, understandably, but grateful for the outpouring of support from Canadians.
And no doubt an incredibly sad occasion today. What do we know about how exactly Muse lost his life?
Well, he died fighting the massive Donnie Creek fire about 150 kilometers from Fort St. John. Police say he was in an off-road vehicle on a narrow gravel road that rolled and went over a steep drop. Multiple agencies are investigating. Now, as we've said before, as we've reported before, this is BC's most destructive wildfire season on record. And Muse was fighting the largest wildfire ever recorded in this province when he died.
All right, Liam Britton for us tonight. Thank you so much, Liam. Well, still in the southern Okanagan, some good news. Evacuees living in and around Osoyoos can now return home as all evacuation orders in the area have now been lifted. More than 130 properties had to be evacuated 10 days ago when a wildfire from Washington state suddenly swept north across the border into BC. But now the town has downgraded nearly all of its evacuation orders to alerts. Favorable winds and planned burns helped curb the spread of the Eagle Bluff fire. About 180 firefighters are still battling the flames, though. And meanwhile, some good news as well for the Donnie Creek wildfire in the north, which has been burning for 3 months now. It has been downgraded from a wildfire of note. And now to Vancouver Island, where Highway 4 at Cameron Lake Bluffs is expected to reopen in about an hour at midnight. It's been closed in both directions since yesterday as downpours meant there was a heightened risk of falling debris. Crews have been working for weeks to stabilize the hillside there. It was scorched by a recent wildfire. There was a detour route in place between Lake Cowichan and Port Alberni. For more information, drivers are urged to check the Drive BC website. And to a troubling statistic in Vancouver now, the city has seen a 31% spike in fires over this time last year.
Those numbers are alarming and concerning in itself, and we're asking for members of the public to be continuously aware of fire risks in and around your area.
Carelessly thrown smoking material continues to be the leading cause of fires in Vancouver, and 1/4 of fires were set deliberately. It sets off an upward trend in suspicious cases. The Vancouver Fire Department is reminding people to prioritize fire safety every day, especially when the weather is this dry. It has taken years, but the BC government has finally confirmed that pollution from the Fraser Valley is flowing into Washington state. Farmers south of the border have been calling on the province to take action. And as John Hernandez reports, much of the blame is being leveled on a single farm in Abbotsford.
We're stewards of these waterways. We want to keep them clean.
Just steps away from the Canadian border, Washington farmer Larry Stapp eyes the waterways that carry contaminants into his local watershed.
The main stream comes right down there on that side, and then it splits right underneath the international boundary here.
For years, farmers and watershed stewards just south of the border have found high levels of fecal bacteria in the creeks that flow into the Nooksack River. At times, the pollution has contaminated shellfish beds.
We could do everything in our power in the States to do our part to clean it up, but we had no control what was going on north of us.
Cleanup efforts south of the border only went so far.
Yeah, I've been doing water quality testing for 25 years. The sample results were 200 times higher than what they should have been. This wasn't a few cows standing in a ditch. This is like major discharges. Somebody is pumping sewage directly into a stream.
After calls for action, the BC government has confirmed the waste is coming from farms and businesses in the Fraser Valley. Among the major culprits, Abbotsford-based Consolidated Enviro Waste, which declined to comment to CBC News. But online records show repeat visits by provincial inspectors along with numerous violations, including waste discharge. The company was fined $17,000 in 2021, which it has since appealed. In a statement, the province said it's working with the company and would continue to monitor and address water quality in these shared waterways in collaboration with state and federal U.S. agencies. State officials say they're also continuing work on their side. Along the watershed, there's hope and skepticism.
It's a positive step. I would say that talk is cheap. Let's see what the action is going to be.
There are businesses that take fines as a cost of doing business.
The hope here is for more collaboration between countries in the weeks and months ahead, because water knows no borders. John Hernandez, CBC News, Abbotsford.
A Langley woman is at a loss over her bizarre battle with Amazon. For months, she has been inundated with packages she never ordered and then billed for the deliveries. Upwards of 50 unwanted packages have turned up on her doorstep, most of them returned merchandise. And as Ali Patarge is finding out, she may be the victim of a vendor scheme.
Almost every day for 2 months, Anka Nitu finds a not-so-special delivery on her porch. More than 50 of these packages quietly dropped off by delivery people at her doorstep with no chance to deny them.
I can't eat, I can't sleep. I start shaking when I see packages at my door.
And inside these parcels are shoes like this. These are not even a third of what she received. She's given away the rest, and they're unfit not just for her feet.
They are definitely not my style.
The packages come from different senders who are mostly from the U.S. Each box comes with one of these return authorization slips. Nitu suspects her residence is being used as a return address to dump unwanted merchandise.
It has my name, it has my address, it has my old phone number that has been out of service for 4 years.
But Nitu says the shoes are the least of her problems compared to the bills. UPS mailed her more than $300 worth of customs charges, which she is refusing to pay. And UPS has been slow to respond to her complaints. They tell CBC they're looking to investigate further, but haven't given official comment.
I might at some point in time receive a very hefty bill from Amazon for seller services that I never requested, and I never had, and I never want.
BC's Better Business Bureau says this could be linked to a vendor return scheme where sellers or third-party handlers can avoid warehouse or shipping fees by sending unwanted products to residences.
It might be cheaper for them to actually just send it out to random addresses and say that it's been given to or it's been delivered to a buyer. So if your address is available online somewhere, that's what they're doing.
Nitu has yet to prove the exact cause. In a statement sent to CBC, Amazon says the case in question has been addressed and corrective action is being taken to stop the packages. Nitu filed a report to Langley RCMP, and for now, she says UPS advised her to put a sign on her door to refuse all delivery drops.
I don't know how long this is going to continue. This is not under my control. It is obvious something that happened on the Amazon platform, and they don't want to be held accountable for it.
She worries her name will forever be associated with a third-party seller she has nothing to do with, as she wonders what will it take for the shoe to drop on whoever is causing this. Ali Patarga, CBC News, Langley.
Well, the labour dispute at BC ports is over, yes, but Canada's Labour Minister is hoping to learn from it by commissioning a report. Seamus O'Regan, the Labour Minister, says he's looking for solutions that create a harmonious working environment between unions and employers that respect the collective bargaining process and secure the fundamental ability of our supply chains in the interests of each and every Canadian. A warning tonight about raccoons in the Kitsilano area of Vancouver. 2 attacks in one night sent 2 people to the hospital and severely injured a dog. Residents are calling on the city to take action. Michelle Gomez has those details.
This is my blood and my dog's blood. It basically happened right here.
Jake Moss was walking Pingu early Friday morning in Kitsilano when 2 raccoons pounced.
I was just grabbing one off, kicking them. They were attacking me, my legs, my hands, and they were biting him.
After kicking and throwing the raccoons, the pair got away, but Pingu bore the brunt of it.
My dog was just sitting there with an eyeball hanging out by his chin.
Pingu lost an eye, and Moss went to the hospital later for bite and scratch marks. A neighbor saw the attack and drove them to the animal hospital.
He came running out carrying a broom, and I'll never forget the first thing he said to me. He just said, "Oh my God, not again."
Just 5 hours earlier, Emma Yendol says a raccoon attacked her and her friend's dog in the same spot.
It was vicious. It was using its teeth and its claws, and it was almost as big as my 40-pound dog. You can almost see the teeth marks.
She says the relentless raccoon bit and clawed her leg, where she later had to get 8 stitches. It also got Tio, biting his legs and stomach.
Yeah, it's been traumatizing for the dogs as well as the humans.
Moss says he's contacted the city about a person he saw feeding raccoons nearby. In a statement, the city of Vancouver says it's investigating an incident of wildlife feeding on that block. But it says raccoon control falls outside the city's jurisdiction, and residents dealing with raccoons should contact a pest control company, much like you would with rats. The owner of this pest control company says raccoon attacks are rare, but can happen in the summer as mothers defend their babies. Human habituation can add to the problem.
You know, if they're super hungry, they're used to feeding from humans, they may act in an aggressive way, trying to retrieve that food.
Since posting on Facebook about it, Moss says he's heard from dozens of people with similar experiences over the past few years.
It's like a local public safety issue, and so it ought to be the city's responsibility to deal with it.
They hope the city will take control before the raccoons hurt someone else. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, still ahead, some lucky Vancouver Taylor Swift fans are going to see their idol next year. We'll hear their story next. Stay with us. And thanks for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. Well, moving day is stressful for most households, but imagine what it's like when it involves 600 canoes. The Canadian Canoe Museum has found a new location in Peterborough, Ontario. Mike Crawley checked out just how the big portage is going.
The Canadian Canoe Museum holds more than 600 canoes and kayaks.
There is no other collection like this in the world.
Yet the vast bulk of the collection is stored in this warehouse, out of public view for the past 25 years. The museum's home in this old factory, too cramped to display everything, and nowhere near water.
We've been looking for a waterfront home for this collection and a place where the whole collection can be accessible and available to the visiting public.
That new waterfront home is now under construction and will look like this when it opens next spring.
The only time that you'll need to back away, we all will, is once it's lifting.
Some of the museum's largest canoes are already on the move to their new home.
Our next canoe to lift is a 26-foot birch bark canoe, a Wigwas Jiman made by Marcel Labelle. A lot of work. This is several years of preparation behind us to get the canoes and kayaks ready to be brought here. Every object has been very carefully inspected, photographed, cleaned.
Museum curator Jeremy Ward shows off some highlights.
So this is one of Adam Van Couverden's kayaks. This was from his 2004 world record event in Athens. There's Gordon Lightfoot's canary yellow canoe that he and Fred Gaskin wrapped on a rock on the South Nahanni back in 1980. Gordon Lightfoot also wrote a song called My Canary Yellow Canoe.
To be able to offer them at the new museum where they can tell their stories and they can be visited by their donors or by elders or knowledge holders, it's a game changer for us.
When the new building opens, the museum will designate some of its collection for use on the water, so visitors won't just get to see birch bark canoes, they can find out what it actually feels like to paddle one. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Peterborough, Ontario.
Welcome back to Entertainment News Now. Tickets for Taylor Swift's newly announced Toronto shows went on sale today, even though there are no BC stops on the Eras tour so far. Some Vancouver Swifties are still going to the show. Anis Hidari reports.
Yeah, it's like from a shirt she wore.
This fan's wildest dreams are coming true.
I almost yelled out in the locker room, did not do that. I held it back a little bit, but I was absolutely so shocked and so excited that I got a code.
That code gave her the chance to buy tickets to Taylor Swift's new Toronto shows.
It was actually quite stressful on the Ticketmaster site because you click a ticket, you go to purchase, and then boom, it's someone already got those tickets.
But she managed to get 4 spots.
I know I want to bring my mom, and I know we want to make a little family trip out of it, and I just have so many friends who want tickets, and we're really trying to get them.
Other fans were never, ever getting back together with a ticket.
So I obviously asked all my friends, all my family, just to sign up for the pre-sales and different dates since there are 6 tour dates. But yeah, all of us got waitlisted.
Fans who hit that wait list could be forced to buy from a reseller, with prices starting in the thousands of dollars.
The prices are just way too expensive, way out of my budget. They go 3 times the amount as what they should be.
One way around that, experts say, if concert tickets, like airline tickets, could only be used by the person whose name is on them.
You can access the venue only if you have a ticket and an ID and the 2 match. So that system would completely prevent resale for profits because there's no way for this third party to slide in.
But that could increase costs because everyone's ID would need to be verified. There are still concerts that haven't sold out yet, but if fans haven't already pre-registered for their chance to buy, they'll face a big blank space in their wallet from high reseller prices. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
You're looking at a live shot of Vancouver City Hall right now. Well, cool, wetter weather blanketed much of BC today. We'll see if it's lowered the fire danger rating. Your full forecast is next.
Long career, documented most of it in the testimony, your book. But you know, when you talk to people about the band, and you talk a lot about it in the book, it's not so much maybe one song, but it's, I think, the influence that the band has had on such big names like Bob Dylan and Eric Clapton, and people talk about the sound. Can you talk about how you guys, just throughout the years, because you were together as a band, a backup band for so long, how did you kind of come up with that sound, and what is it?
Well, one of the big differences with a group like the band is we started out, I was 16 years old when I joined Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks. And in the beginning it was Levon Helm and me in the Hawks. And then we brought in Rick Danko, Richard Manuel, and Garth Hudson. And when we were a unit, something happened. We were on a wavelength. And as we played the Chitlin circuit down south, as we played all over the place, we were gathering music, we were gathering sounds, we were gathering rhythms, and we were incorporating this into our own music. And over a period of time, there was depth to it. All of a sudden you could hear tinges of gospel music and mountain music and blues and rhythm and blues and rock and roll and all of these things coming together. And then after joining up with Bob Dylan, then there was that influence of what he was discovering. And so all of these pieces of that puzzle started fitting together over a period of time. And when we made our first record, Music from Big Pink, people were like, where did this come from? This doesn't sound like anything that, excuse me, this doesn't sound like anything we're hearing today. this is, and thankfully, not trendy. So that depth of our music studies, it wasn't just we were out there playing gigs. We were on a mission and we were doing something. And then to hear in our music these levels, all these different levels of music creeping through here and there, and that's what gave it, I think, a bit of a timeless quality, and it sounded like, there's some serious music going on here too.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. Support sustainable agriculture and celebrate local food with Margaret Gallagher at Feast of Fields. Enjoy the Gourmet Harvest Festival at the Stable Harvest Farms on September 10th. Tickets at farmfolkcityfolk.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
And Darius Madavi joins us now with a full look at the forecast. Darius, we've had some precipitation. Is it enough, though, to really help the wildfire danger right now?
It is enough for now. I can't say how long it's going to last. If you're going to ask me to forecast the fire danger, I'd say we're going to be good tomorrow, heading into this weekend. By the time we're back here next week, I'd say it's going to be up there once again as another high pressure system sets up. But for now, we have improved once again from yesterday, even more green, which is great to see. Very little high or extreme fire danger across the province for now as a result of both the precipitation that we've been seeing, as you mentioned, but also that low pressure system, that cold front moving through, bringing temperatures way down below where they usually are this time of year, and certainly well below what we've been seeing as a result of those heat waves and just the heat that we've been seeing across the province so far this summer. So you'll notice temperatures well below what we'd expect to see pretty much everywhere, even in the southern interior, only seeing low 20s. Cranbrook, the Kootenay, seeing in the high teens, well below what we'd usually expect for this time of year. So great news there. We can also take a look at the weather radar and what we've been seeing over the last the last 6 or so hours. You can notice that this front moving through is bringing plenty of precipitation in the central part of the province and further south. So that is going to continue for most of those places over the next 24 hours or so. You can expect still quite a bit in the Kootenays up to the Columbias, plenty in the north and, of course, along the coast. The central part of the province has probably seen their last bit of rain for a little while now, and that's reflected in our forecast for tomorrow. Just a bit of cloud in the central part of the province, more rain for the north, a little bit for the south. These are going to be more scattered, isolated showers, still a bit of instability, probably bringing some thunderstorms to a lot of those areas. But if we zoom in here in the lower mainland, you'll notice very little for Vancouver, a bit on the north shore, heading into the beginning of, or heading into tomorrow. And if we have a further look into the extended forecast, a little bit of rain in the morning and then lots of sun ahead.
All right, brief reprieve, but then right back to that sun. Thank you so much, Darius.
Thank you.
And that is your late news for this Wednesday. For news anytime, of course, you can always head to our website. We're at cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition. That's on CBC Radio 1 starting tomorrow morning at 5:30. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.